There is a huge difference between creating content that gains followers and likes and saves, and content that turns dream clients immediately into customers. When I understood how to apply sales psychology into my content, it made selling so much easier. Because when you understand that a part of your sales pathway, so somebody actually buying from you, often comes way before the sales conversation in itself, and in your content and in your offers, you can help somebody go through that sales pathway so much faster and literally walk themselves to your offers. This is how a dream client can find my Instagram, binge some content, maybe sign up for a free thing if she needs a little bit more nurturing, and then come into my highest ticket offers literally within 24 hours without a sales call, without convincing, without me needing to add on a gazillion and one bonuses to get them to buy. They walk themselves to the checkout page because of the things that I'm going to be teaching you inside of today's YouTube video. Your content is a sales pathway. And if you think about the fact that your content very often is going to be seen by people who have no idea who you are, when you create really basic Instagram content, like the B-rolls and the things that you think will help you go viral, that actually repels your dream clients. It actually makes it harder for someone to want to buy from you because it isn't actually strategic to position you as the only solution to that problem. Now, when we apply sales psychology into your content, there are a few things that you need to know. The first one is being completely authentic and embodied in what you teach. Let's say, for example, you are a fitness coach. The main thing that will sell your content above everything else is showing them what you do. Show, don't tell style content, where you are showing them how you lead a certain lifestyle, how you think about food, because people don't just want the body transformation. They want to be able to operate as that identity. So when you show them what this actually looks like, you help them get to that result faster, right? Like for me as a business coach, I'm not just going to say in my content, here's how I can make 5K in a day or anything like that, because that's great and all, but that's just tips and education and speaking to the transformation. But what my dream clients really want is the identity. And that is the second piece of the content. When you think about sales psychology and we really get into the crux of subconscious sales, there is a huge difference between just giving tips and tricks and really speaking to the person. Now, this is where people get it really wrong inside of their content is you kind of forget that you're speaking to a human on the other side of a screen. You're speaking to a real human with a beating heart, with their own problems, with their own shit going on. And you are going to solve one of those problems, right? If you're a business coach, you're going to solve the problem of money. If you're a fitness coach, you're going to solve the problem of weight loss or health. If you're a relationship coach, you're going to solve that main problem as your core thing, right? But you're forgetting to speak to the person on the other side. And so when your content is really cold and you're just giving like 3 tips, or you're really digging into the pain points by going, this is where you're at, and it frustrates you and it makes you so angry and you've tried everything. What you do is you put the person on the other side into a disempowered state, and that isn't what they want. So we want to speak to the outcomes that they desire. So when we think about content that really freaking converts, that leads somebody through the sales process, there's some really good things and really strategic things that I like to do. Okay, let's get into it. Now, the first thing that I like to do when I'm creating my content is I like to actually reverse engineer it from my offers. So if in my offers, what I like to do is I like to go through every single piece of the offer and I think about, okay, what do they need? What problem can I solve at each point, right? Like not just in, your problem isn't just that you want to make better content. Your problem is that the content that you're making isn't attracting the right people. The problem is that the people that are coming into your DMs aren't paying you fast enough. The problem is that when they do pay you, they don't take immediate action, and therefore they kind of blame you a little bit and you feel a little bit icky about it. So I'm solving all of these problems by giving a solution that speaks to every single one of these micro-specific problems. Okay. So how I want you to think about this is, what are the micro specific problems that your offer solves, and what are the symptoms of that problem? What a lot of people do and make a mistake of is in their content, you kind of just dig into the pain points. So you're like, you're not making enough sales. And it makes you really sad. But that's not a micro specific problem. The micro specific problem and the symptom of that problem is that it makes you feel kind of not that good enough. And you know that you're really good at what you do and you're frustrated because you've tried all of the different sales techniques and none of them really feel good in your soul, which means that you don't really follow through on them. And then you get frustrated at yourself for not following through after you've invested all this amount of money, right? So the micro specific problem that I would speak to in that specific situation is that the sales methodologies that you're using don't feel aligned to you. And therefore, my offer solves the problem of making sure you have a sales system that works for you and that makes you feel good. And everybody's is going to be different, right? And I talk through this, I talk through the alignment piece. So then my content is going to be a reverse engineer of that offer in itself. And I might do a piece of content of like 3 signs your sales strategy is misaligned. And then I might talk through a little bit of the problem awareness. So showing them, hi, I see you. I know what your problem is. And this is the nuance behind it. So this is a little bit of context and how I know that this is your problem. And then this is the solution. So this is called problem awareness content. And this is where you're making them aware of their problem, but you're showing them the empowered option instead. Okay. This is not to dig into somebody's pain points and to position yourself as the savior. This is to show them that I see, hear, and understand you. Because on a subconscious level, when somebody feels seen, heard, and understood, we connect so much more emotionally. So the first piece of this in creating content that converts is reverse engineering your content from your offer. This will give you also so much more clarity on your offer, what the gaps are, what's unique about your offer. You know, a lot of the time I see people struggle to sell, not because they're bad at selling, but because they don't actually know fully what that offer is. And they're not obsessed with that offer. And if you have a level 10 offer and you understand every single thing about it, how it can help somebody, the problems that crop up, and you solve every single one of those problems, guess what? Sales is going to feel so much easier. And content becomes really easy because it's kind of like a reverse engineer. How I think of it is like, I will take a really big piece of A3 paper like this, and I will write out every single facet of the offer. I will write out every single problem that my clients have or my dream clients have. And I will write out how I solve that solution inside of my offer. Let's say another problem that you have is leadership, right? Self-leadership, right? You have the plan, but sometimes you find yourself wanting to like fluctuate or wanting to doubt yourself. And so I have then modules and trainings that help you through the mindset wobbles that are going to crop up. And what this is really is preempting the problems that you're going to have. And what I really want you to understand is like so much of your content will convert faster when it is a direct, like, of your offer itself, right? This is the trust trifecta. So for somebody to buy from you, they need to trust in themselves. They need to trust in you, which I'll come on to in a second. But more than anything, they need to trust in your vehicle, especially because everybody's content right now sounds the same. Everybody has access to the same AI. Everybody's content sounds really, really similar. Okay. You need to be able to articulate why your vehicle and why your specific way is the way that is going to be the solution for them. If people are kind of like, I just see this as another option, I don't really think this is going to solve my problem to the highest level, they won't buy. Maybe you've seen people on Instagram before who have a product or an offer or a service that you would kind of be interested in, right? I think of like a lot of Instagram gurus for this one. They give really good Instagram tips, but they give good tips. Their content is savable. Their content is shareable. You kind of want to consume it and you get some tips from it. But you don't actually know in your heart and soul that their vehicle of growing your Instagram is going to solve your problem, because maybe they speak to just the fact of growing your Instagram and they don't speak to growing your Instagram plus only attracting ready to buy clients. Do you see the difference here? It's like if I only position to grow your Instagram, what's going to end up happening is you are going to have objections and internal fears of, but what if I grow my Instagram and people still don't buy from me? Or what if I put all of this effort into growing my Instagram and then I get hate? Or what if I put all this effort into growing my Instagram and then I run out of ideas? So if the content creators, and if you were to actually instead preempt those objections and fears that people have, solve them inside of your offer. So, for example, how to navigate when people don't like your content and how to creatively clap back at it and use it as leverage, or how to only attract dream clients that are ready to buy, plus the ManyChat automations that I use to convert X amount of people. And you also spoke about like um, an idea creation system that you have in your business that allows you to continue to generate ideas even when you're ill, you're sick, you're not really feeling it. Oh wow, okay, now you've solved the future problems for people. And therefore, when you talk about in that in your content, you immediately have this like edge, right? You have this like genius that most people are not talking about. So I want you to think about this. If you have a fitness coaching business or you have a relationship coaching business, what are the future problems that your dream clients are going to have that you can speak to and sell to in your content so that they feel seen, heard, and understood? And you are also like simultaneously responding and breaking down the objections that they would have in future. We know that objections are just internal limitations, right? They don't understand you. They don't trust you. They don't trust the vehicle, or they just don't trust themselves. Your content is directly positioned to solve those fears and internal limitations. This is the game of sales psychology. This is why I don't need sales calls to sell. I don't need to have long back and forth conversations in the DMs. You know how many DMs I get every single day from people like, do you need a high ticket sales closer? No, because people buy directly through the link in my sales page because I have solved their fears. I've dissolved objections by dissolving internal limitations. I've shifted belief. I've shown proof and authority. I've shown that I understand them. And I've shown client case studies of how I've done this, and therefore the trust is built. People don't need the sales call. And in fact, it feels like a bit of a waste of time. I don't jump on sales calls, not with my clients. I wouldn't jump on a sales call if you offered me one, if you were trying to sell me your service, because for me, if you need a sales call, I believe that you haven't done the greatest job at your marketing. Obviously, nuance. You have discernment. You know this. You can use your brain and think there's going to be times where this is applicable. But for the most part, if you need sales calls, it's likely that you haven't done the job that you needed to inside of your content, which was shifting beliefs, shifting trust in the vehicle, shifting trust in yourself, and shifting trust in them. Okay. The second part is speaking to the subconscious desires. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of just speaking to the problem awareness of where you're currently at. This is okay. But if you want to shift somebody into the buying state where they're like, I don't just have a problem solved, like I actually like who I am becoming inside of your coaching or inside of your world or inside of your service, and I want to stay for a prolonged period of time, you have to show them who they are going to become. So many people will say, only speak to the transformation, right? Don't sell the features, only speak to the transformation. But when you only speak to the transformation, guess what you get? You get transactional buyers who are only here for the transformation. When you instead speak to how they are going to think, the identity of who they are going to be, the experiences that they are going to have, you integrate more of their subconscious experiences. And this is experiential marketing as well, as like you get them to feel a certain way and see themselves in that state. Let me give you an example of this. If you were to just talk about how they're going to feel once they've lost 10 kilos, that they're going to feel really good in themselves and they're going to look good in a certain outfit, that's fine. But if you want to help somebody shift into a buying state faster and like the process, not just the outcome, and be willing to do the work, and that makes ready to buy clients who are dream clients who get better testimonials, and therefore you have more trust in your work, and therefore you talk about it more confidently, and therefore you get more sales. If you want to have people that actually are obsessed with the work that you do and the process that you take them through, show them the process. Speak to the identity of who they are going to become in the process, right? You're going to love waking up every single day. Your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you can't believe it, but you're actually dead excited to go to the gym. And you realize as you're on the way to the gym, listening to your favorite music, pre-workout in the little cup holder, you're wearing the cutest little pink set. You realize that the version of you who used to hate the gym could not be further away from the truth. You love looking after yourself and who you become along the process, right? So this is the difference between those two examples, is that one of them really just speaks to the end result, which means you're going to get people who are just kind of in it for the end result and don't care to do the work. The other one speaks to the process, who they're going to be, involves all of the senses, the hear, see, touch, feel, right? Which really allows us to get into our bodies and allows our subconscious to experience before we have made a purchase. I don't care just about earning more money. Okay. You don't care just about earning more money. You care about the way in which you do it. So if I was to see a post that speaks about here's how to scale to multi 7 figures, not really that interested. But if you were to say, every single morning I wake up to, I don't even know what the math would be like, to £50,000. I feel like it's a bit dramatic, but every single morning I wake up to £50,000 in my Stripe account. I don't set an alarm. I roll out of bed and I with a smile on my face, knowing that this £50,000 worth of clients come in overnight. There is a big difference. One just speaks to the end result, which is often going to attract a lot of people that want to get rich quick. Same with like fitness, who want to just achieve the transformation quickly. Relationships just want the end outcome, aren't really willing to do the work, and therefore aren't really willing to invest that much in themselves because they don't really care about the becoming. Versus this one, which is an experience you feel like, oh yeah, like that is what I desire. When you then think about making the purchase decision, which one is your subconscious going to lead you to? Seriously, because your subconscious makes the sales purchase decisions for you. 93% of sales is subconscious. So which one is your brain going to remember? It's going to remember the one that connected with you more emotionally, which is the one that described the experiences more in depth. So that is the trust in the you, trust in the vehicle. Then it's the trust in themselves. How can you show that you are the person to shift them through that transformation and that they should trust themselves in doing it? This is where storytelling and your unique way of content really comes in. Now, people love my content and love consuming it because I'm really honest and I say exactly what I think. And some people don't like that, obviously, but I'm okay with that because I also know that some people really, really like it. People like that I don't script my videos. People like that I just talk off the top of my head because that's, again, go back to the experiences. That's what my dream client wants to be able to do. She wants to be able to just come on and just chat, right? She really wants that experience. So I embody it. And this is the trust in the you, but also the trust in themselves. Show the story of where you were once, how you once were where they were, the feelings that you felt, and what you had to go through in order to get to where you are. This is where your wisdom gets to collapse time for people. Now, I speak about this a lot in my content around, I literally spent 3 years on sales calls trying to objection handle, panicking, feeling like I couldn't do it, feeling petrified about the fact that I didn't want to pressure anybody into a sale. And I made that like mean something about me. And then I got obsessed with learning about sales psychology so that I could actually sell without doing those things, so that I could sell without exchanging my time for money, so that I could sell without having to objection handle and convince people. I didn't want to feel like I was convincing people. I wanted people to convince themselves to work with me because I'd always walked myself into other people's offers and I didn't understand the difference in the leadership and also in the sales, right? So I got obsessed with learning about that. And now I can help my clients not even have to go through the sales phase, right? Because I've collapsed time. So 3 years of my experience plus years of learning and observing and really getting into the nitty gritty and trial and error and thousands of pounds worth of investments condense into, I can teach somebody that in what, like 3 weeks, right? Condense into 3 weeks allows somebody to see the process that you had to go through in order to give them that wisdom and give them that result faster. So when we tell stories, our mirror neurons within our brain like to see ourselves in that situation. It's why we love a rags to riches story. It's why your story is the most powerful thing, again, in the world of AI, because it becomes your personal brand, right? It becomes your thing. And it becomes an unfair advantage if you have a really good personal story. And I believe that you can turn any experience into a personal story. Like, I will tell a story around how I accidentally ended up in a fancy hotel and paid £12 for a coffee. I will tell stories around minor things that probably no one cares about in my life, because that is artistry and that is marketing, is being able to turn something that isn't really that big of a deal and extract the wisdom and find a story within it to tell your point and to share your wisdom, right? So if you can use storytelling through the way of your origin story, so where you were, how you went through the transformation, how it made you feel, what you had to do, the big scary leap. And you can tell this in terms of metaphors as well, is really, really powerful. People will get the message without you explicitly saying it. The biggest thing I see people do in their content, where you think that you're objection handling by saying stuff like, stop saying you don't have time if you want to achieve your goals, or stop saying you can't afford it if you want to achieve your goals. That's bad marketing, because you are trying to objection handle by speaking to the logical mind and just saying the obvious. People know that they have time, but our subconscious and our ego wants to make excuses and go, you don't understand, right? You don't understand. I don't have the money to invest, or I've been there before and I don't think it's going to work for me. And my friend got scammed of this. Da, 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 da. So instead, we leverage storytelling to allow ourselves to connect with somebody's emotional system, their limbic system that makes the decisions, and really help them see, hi, like, I understand the fears that you're going through. And you can think about all the objections and all the fears that people have and really speak to the storytelling of where you once were versus where you are right now. I built my entire fitness personal brand off my story of how I went from eating disorder to growing muscle to helping other women do the same to empowerment to really loving the gym and loving fitness. That was my brand for a really long time in fitness. And before I had client transformations, I had my own story. And that became how I got my first 20, 30, 40, 50 clients, right? Was through sharing my own personal story, my own experiences in muscle growth and nutrition and fat loss and all of the things. And if you can learn to use your personal story and turn that into the reason why somebody would want to buy, you connect with them authentically. Obviously, like nuance. Do not just tell your story because you're like, this is going to solve an objection. Tell your story because you really want to help somebody understand and see what's possible for them. Because that's what sales is showing them this thing is possible for you. And I would love to help you achieve it. And this is how, combined with the vehicle content, so speaking to how you would get them, combined with the activational content, so speaking to the desire, the identity, showing them who they're going to become, waking them the fuck up to their potential, combined with the storytelling content, combined with the authority content, so showing how you know what they need to do and how you know how you can get them the result, plus the problem awareness of like, I see where you're at right now. This is the mistake that you're making. This is how I know it's the mistake. And this is what you need to do instead, with nuance. When you combine all of those content styles and you're fiercely authentic to who you are, you say things in the way that you want to say them. You don't try to like perfect it and polish it, and you're just you, combined with being so obsessed with the work that you teach and being savage with your consistency and posting, all the time and sharing your story and doing it out of the love for the journey, not out of the desperation for the sale, because desperation for the sale will repel people. And you're doing it because you want to share value. You want to show people who you are. You want to create a personal brand. You want to really create a difference in the world and help somebody see what is possible for them. When you do all of these things, people will walk themselves into your offers. People will walk themselves into your sales pathways and decide whether you are for them or not. Someone might watch my content and go, she's not for me. Amazing. I am so glad, because it's so important that you have a big enough audience that some people don't like you. Less than 20% of your audience will actually be customers, right? A lot of people are just talkers. A lot of people are dreamers. A lot of people want to achieve a certain thing, but won't take the action to do so. So the goal isn't necessarily to only have people who want to buy from you in your followers and in your audience, but to have the right people following you, buying from you, and interested in what you do. The final thing in your content to really attract ready to buy dream clients who convert is to have your unique edge. Now, we kind of spoke about this before, but when you think about your content, especially because the content is very saturated because everyone's kind of sounds the same, like I've said, it's really important that you have something a little bit unique about you. This can be your own personal unique insights on your story, right? Such an powerful thing, but also the way in which you say things and creating a little bit of controversy. And I don't mean being controversial just for the sake of being controversial, but we call this when you think about a good hook hooks someone in because it creates a little bit of stickiness, creates a little bit of moral inversion where they're like, oh, that she's just said something that I've never heard said like that before, or she's challenged a belief that I have. When you can do this in your content, by the way, this is the content that will attract people to follow you and to create a really solid community. knowing that in social media, whatever platform you're using, your goal really is to hook somebody's attention so that they read the entire story or they read the entire caption. The only way we can do that is by being interesting enough to capture somebody's attention. So thinking about, oh, what's a really unique metaphor? What's a unique way that I could say this that would stop somebody in their tracks? When you get really good at this skill, and truly it is a skill that you just practice and practice and practice and practice, like again, I wish I could say it's just like, use this formula, but it's not. It's getting creative because it has to come from you. It can't be just this AI thing that you found online because, again, everybody else is using it. So when you can get creative and use your brain as leverage, use your creativity as your currency, create a little bit of stickiness in somebody as they're consuming your content, they will want to read more. And that is where they lead themselves into your offers, consume more and more and more, learn more about you, learn more about your vehicle, why your way is the way, and lead themselves into your offers, especially if you make sure you sell every single day and you give them the opportunity to raise their hand and come on in. Okay, cool. This was a really good training. I really love delivering this. I hope you loved it. If you did, please drop a comment below, share it with somebody you know who needs it. And you can find me over on Instagram as well. If you do want to jump into any of my offers, I will drop them all in the YouTube description. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.